At the southern end of the Springbrook Cemetery, along the side of Spring Street, sits the Card Memorial Chapel, a small yet poignant testament to a life cut short and a love unfulfilled. In the 19th century, Mansfield was a thriving town. Though still retaining its agricultural heritage, the town had been transformed by the arrival of the railroads and swept up in the wave of post-Civil War industrialization. A wide range of products, from straw bonnets to iron furnaces to cutlery and soap, were shipped from the local mills and factories to consumers across the country. One of the leading figures in Mansfield's industrial story was Simon W. Card, a machinist originally from Killingly, Connecticut. In 1874, he established a tap and die works in Mansfield that would become one of the country's preeminent manufacturers of taps, dies, and cutting tools. The S.W. Card Company was, in many ways, a family concern. Mary J. Card, Simon's wife, was a partner in the enterprise, and their daughter and only child, Mary L., nicknamed Lulu, was, for a time, the firm's accountant. The family settled on Pleasant Street, a short walk from the tap and die works. Prosperity and social prominence followed the Card family. By the 1890s, the S.W. Card Company had more than 70 employees. The family were members of the First Baptist Church on North Main Street and were actively involved in the community. In the spring of 1896, Simon and Lulu set off to New Brunswick, Canada, on a fishing expedition. The Cards maintained a flatboat on the upper St. Francis River, where they often retreated for outdoor activities. Lulu was a noted, experienced hunter and common companion to her father on these excursions. In early June, Lulu fell ill. Word was sent to Mansfield, and Mrs. Card immediately set out for Canada to tend to her daughter. She was accompanied by Charles H. Eastman, a family friend and Lulu's fiancé. Unfortunately, due to the difficulty of travel, they did not reach their destination in time. On June 14, 1896, Mary L. Card died from what was described as an abscess on the brain. She was 30 years old. The devastating news reached her mother in Portland, Maine. Though heartbroken, she continued to her husband's side in New Brunswick. The grieving family then returned to Mansfield. Mary's funeral was held on June 19, 1896, and her body was interred in the family plot at Springbrook Cemetery. After Mary's death, Mr. and Mrs. Card conceived of creating a lasting memorial to their beloved child. They turned to Charles Eastman, by trade an architect, to design a fitting tribute. Since 1885, Eastman had sporadically partnered with John Spofford, another Boston architect, to design other buildings in eastern Massachusetts. Among the structures credited to this collaboration were the Everett Police Station, the Malden National Guard Armory, and the Spalding School in Mansfield. One must imagine, however, that the design for the Card Memorial was of personal significance to Eastman. His vision, this chapel, is a work of subtle elegance. Borrowing from the then popular Romanesque Revival and Victorian Gothic styles, Eastman created a simple yet undeniably charming structure. The June 3, 1898 edition of the Mansfield News described the chapel shortly before its dedication ceremony. The style of architecture is that of a Greek cross with a central tower rising 42 feet from the ground to the apex, the latter surmounted by a copper finial 6 feet 9 inches in height. The foundation is Quincy granite, and the superstructure consists of the best quality of faced brick. The roof is covered with unfading green slate. The cornices are of copper, treated with acid, giving them a marbleized green effect. Granite steps lead to the arched entrance of the vestibule. The arch is 8 feet high by 10 feet in width, with granite-capped buttresses. Eight lancet windows pierce the central tower, allowing sunlight to illuminate the interior. The north and south walls each contain a large, Gothic-styled stained glass window. The northern window bears an inscription taken from Psalm 127, "He giveth his beloved sleep." The southern window originally bore the words, "Oh, for the touch of a vanished hand and the sound of a voice that is still," a line taken from Alfred, Lord Tennyson. The original southern window has since been replaced due to damage. Two smaller Gothic windows are located in the western end of the chapel, opposite the entry doors. The formal dedication ceremony for the chapel was held on June 11, 1898. According to the Mansfield News, 75 people, including Mr. and Mrs. Card and Charles Eastman, attended the event. Reverend E.H. Sweet of the First Baptist Church, in his address to the gathered crowd, noted, "It is particularly fitting that our brother and sister, Mr. and Mrs. Card, should gather up the precious memories of an only departed daughter, the light of their home, and should present the same in the construction of this chapel. Her beautiful life, her queenly character, and her Christly spirit are grandly symbolized in this magnificent building. Such a memorial building places honor upon the memory of the dead, reflects credit upon the donors, the architect, and the contractors, and confers blessings upon the community at large." At the conclusion of the ceremony, the deed for the chapel was presented to the Springbrook Cemetery Association. Sadly, Simon Card would soon join his daughter in eternal rest. On February 5, 1899, after an illness of several months, and less than 9 months after the dedication of the memorial, he died in the house on Pleasant Street. He was laid to rest in the family plot in Springbrook. Mrs. Card remained a fixture in Mansfield until her own passing on February 5, 1929, the day after her 87th birthday, and 30 years to the day of her husband's death. Today, more than a century after its construction, the Card Memorial Chapel remains the focal point of the Springbrook Cemetery. It also represents an important chapter in the history of Mansfield. As its donors intended, the chapel celebrates the memory of Mary L. Card and serves as a place of remembrance and contemplation for the entire community.